and there was just silence. That was funny. Okay. So, as part of the briefing for behavior rehearsal, or kind of prior to, I did this little agenda, thinking that we might meet yesterday, but we weren't able to do that, so we'll do it today. And basically, it was just, it'd just be real important to, whenever we're going to be going into somebody's classroom to do any of these activities, giving them enough heads up so that it's not like we're just walking in on them, and we don't want to show any disrespect by doing that. So that's something I've learned, and I've learned so much through this whole process. And we're getting close to the end. I'm really excited about that. And then also, we discussed about, through emails, we discussed about adding a number 7 skill. And that would be so that we could actually meet the part of the learning objective that says to inform the function of Adeline's behavior. And so we just need to write that one out. So number 7, analyze data. How will the data be analyzed to help inform the function of the children's behavior?
Okay. Yeah, you know what I was thinking when I was thinking about the analyzed data was I was actually thinking about this activity sheet and the looking at the antecedents, looking at the behavior, looking at the consequence, and then kind of that next step when you're making the plan is kind of using that to come up with the hypothesis.
Okay, so seeing if there are any trends throughout the observation.
Yeah. Coming up with some kind of hypothesis about each of those little behaviors, and on that ABC data sheet, it has a little comment, the little comment area. So maybe in there, doing some kind of hypothesis, then to be able to look at and see if there's any overall trend.
Do you want to do this by yourself? I mean, do you think that this would be okay for you to just kind of go over yourself? Or do you feel like you need the team to work on it with you, or another person on the team to work on it with you?
I don't have a team.
Okay.
There is no team, and so I wouldn't want to write that in because I just think that opens a whole other can of worms.
Right, and it's perfectly fine to do it on your own. Yeah, okay. So, let's see. So, Met, how about analyze data? Rachel will analyze data alone, or how do we want to word that?
I think just Rachel will analyze data. I think that's indicating that I'm not doing it with somebody else. Data to identify any trends in behavior.
Okay. Well, I like that. To identify. To help inform the function.
Yeah, going back and using that same wording.
Help inform the function of the behavior. And that would be 1. And then 2. 2 could be next steps were determined. Because by analyzing, seeing if there are trends, you kind of know, okay, what am I going to do from here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, next steps.
Okay, that leaves it open.
And next steps could be anything from, okay, if you do have a teaching team, we're going to meet as a team and discuss it. Or, well, I know that, I'm pretty sure that, because of my hypothesis, we could place some tools in with Adeline's routine that might help her to replace that behavior with the behavior that you want, a visual or whatever. So it could be a variety of things.
Yeah.
So next steps determine, and then so
then partial will be one of the two.
Okay. Omit none of the above. Okay, great. And so the rest of these in red and yellow were based on what we had discussed, and just focusing on Adeline at this time.
Yes.
And how you recognize that including the daily schedule was important on number 4. And how it can change. Because depending on the teacher, sometimes it changes.
Yeah, and what I was really wanting, which I wasn't able to get off those sheets. All the forms that we have are just PDFs, and all you can do is print them out. So I just created another one on Excel, so I was able to add more lines in, because what I needed in that schedule was the transitions.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What I needed was transitions, and I didn't have enough spaces. But I thought, that's really where, and I even broke some of the transitions down from like...
oh wow, you are so prepared.
I have, one like clean up and line up for outside separate from walking outside. It's like, is it the cleanup that's the problem, or is it the lining up and walking out that's the problem? So, because I really think, that if it's about where problems are happening, that you really need to kind of break it down into those smaller steps to see, especially because transitions are just, we just know as teachers that transitions are the hot spots.
Yeah, and you're so right. It might be that a child is so excited about going outside that the transition is a breeze, but if it's involving cleanup, maybe not so much. Okay.
Or maybe it's just that getting down the hall. Man, everything goes fine, every transition, but for some reason, or walking in a line. Being in a line is hard for them. And you would see that if it's when they're washing hands and walking outside, it's every time we're lining up. That seems to be the trouble spots, So I just thought, that transitions were important in that schedule to have more room.
Okay.
So I don't know if you noticed, but I did email you a copy of that Excel. So it's a blank that can be modified at any time. It's just a blank.
Okay, great.
So you can add lines, take out lines.
Okay, perfect.
Type a schedule into it, which I ended up doing was typing something into it to print it out. But I also have what I sent you was a blank.
Okay, and then could I get a copy of the after we're finished?
The one I put up for admin? No, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll turn those in as well. Okay, so I'd like to review for behavior rehearsal the rationale and description. So again, the skill was learned during coaching on topic, demonstrated during modeling, and now behavior rehearsal is a way to practice the skills for your learning objective. Away from the children. However, this is a unique objective in that you need the children to collect. So that's what makes this okay. Now, granted, while you're doing the behavior rehearsal, you could decide that you want to have discussion, you know, because you're still in a way away from the children. We're not interacting with them. So depending on how you want to plan it, it could be that we're talking about things here and there,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Okay.
or
I'll keep that in mind.
or I'm the fly on the wall, or however you want to do that. Whatever's best for your learning style. So this is a chance for you to rehearse the steps until you're comfortable with each one, and then and comfortable and with confidence, so that you know that the next time you do this, you don't have any questions about it, and you don't have questions about the data tools that you're using. So at this point, do you have any questions or reservations so far about the behavior rehearsal? And we will go into planning.
Nope.
Okay.
I was thinking, do I?
Okay, and then during our last meeting, you shared some concerns about how much data to gather. And since these tools are meant to use as short, concise notes, and you're just being objective, just writing down what you see, what's actually happening without any assumptions. Are you comfortable with that?
I am, but that wasn't what that's not the what I'm worried about. I mean, last time I was being very concise about what I was seeing, but it was, as I said, antecedent, behavior, consequence, antecedent, behavior, consequence, antecedent, behavior, consequence, and it was like these long, drawn-out things, and I was like, do I record that as a bunch of separate incidents? Do I record that as one incident? Like, especially when I'm doing that on my scatter plot thing. Am I
you do it
am
just
I recording
like
that as 5 different things? This long, trailing out thing?
As long as you're just recording what you're looking for in the key itself. Yeah. And then, let's see, I'm finding my place. Okay, so like I said, we will be in the classroom, not interacting with the children. And is there anything that I can do to make this as successful as possible for you? And how can I help? And maybe we'll know those things as we plan. Okay. And I'm going to take some written notes for myself for the plan. Also, we want to always keep in mind that, be thinking about how might this data collection strategy be individualized for you to meet your learning styles and your teaching style while still maintaining fidelity to the evidence-based practice. And I think you answered that really well.
When I made my transition thing,
yeah. Transition form and remembered to add the transitions into that. Is there anything else that you can think of that you need or you did to individualize it for you?
Just in the way that I created my own key, and how that key works for me.
Okay. And then maybe I should get a copy of those before we go into the classroom, so I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing too.
Sure.
We're looking for the same things. Okay, and then of course it's always important to talk about how the skills need to be individualized for specific children, because we always want to keep in mind inclusion, in everything. So, like in this situation, you're really individualizing for the behavior challenges. So how might you individualize for children with special needs, like, for instance, a child in a wheelchair?
Well, I know what we had discussed before with this is that it really allows you to be specific, to individualize for each child based upon the specific behaviors that they're doing. And there was that need to be informed of what is a typical, what's a developmentally appropriate behavior for this child based upon age or based upon developmental need. Because we were talking about, you know, a kid who might be hand flapping or something like that, you know, that might be a problem behavior of a child being distracting, but for that kid, then that's a developmentally appropriate behavior. It's not them trying to distract other people or be silly or goofy.
Right.
That is just developmentally appropriate behavior. So you would have to have some of those things in mind beforehand to make sure what you're looking for really are challenging behaviors and not developmentally appropriate behaviors.
Right. And I also thought about, so I was thinking, when I mentioned the wheelchair, I was thinking about, you know, so here's a child who may not have any of those kinds of special needs, but maybe paraplegic. And sometimes those children tend to have challenging behaviors because of their situation. And yet, you know, how do we not let them slip through the cracks because we're saying, oh, well, this child's in the wheelchair, so it's okay if that child exhibits challenging behavior. You know
well, I think that's why you really need to know what's appropriate and what's to be expected, because you know, I'm thinking one of a common challenging behavior that seems to come from a developmental lag is speech. And we have so many kids with speech disabilities or speech deficits, or they're just lagging behind, and not being able to communicate with people will often lead to some challenging behaviors, like I'm hitting them or something because I don't know, I don't have the words to say. You know, it's like animals. Animals bite because they don't have words. They don't have a way to say, you're scaring me, I'm feeling threatened by you. They have no way to say that, so they have to bite, you know. So what can that child do to communicate if they can't? So often, those kinds of, some of those developmental lagging behind, or, you know, those kinds of things really can cause some of those challenges. And
I was thinking too, one time I was observing a classroom years ago, and a little fellow, he had a walker. I can't remember what was wrong with his legs, but he had a walker to help him to get around. And because he was just so darn cute, he tended to get away with a lot of things because of that, you know. Or, well, I should say he tried to, and so, like, when they were lining up to go wash their hands for the bathroom, he saw a great big hallway out there, and he thought, wow, this will be a great place to run and then slide with my little walker, right? And the teacher's saying, now, Chase, you need to come on back and get in line like everybody else, you know. So she handled it well, but
I definitely see also that's hard when kids are really, really small, or kind of have a lot of behaviors if they're a year younger, that you tend to, oh, this is the 2-year-old, and not see them as 3-year-old.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And really? I need to be making some 3-year-old expectations from you just because you're small and you're cute.
Yeah.
And some of your behaviors are like a 2-year-old. That doesn't mean that you're not capable of behaving like a 3-year-old.
Right.
So but that's where that team is important, you know, because sometimes you need help to know, do they really have the ability to act like a 3-year-old, or really is the 2-year-old
there's more information and
the
knowledge
ability that they have? So
with a group. And sometimes you don't have that group.
BOCES team is really helpful.
Right. Okay, so let's make a few plans for the behavior rehearsal. So what do you have in mind for practicing the skill? How it's going to look?
I'm definitely going in, and again, I think because we're coming in from the outside versus when this is really kind of put into practice, I'll be the teacher in the room and I'm just kind of like always there. I don't think there's going to need to be a lot of explanation, but coming in from the outside looks a little bit different. So I think I'll need to somehow let not only the teacher know, but she already has a heads up that we're going to come in there,
Great.
but also letting the kids know. Hey guys, I'm here. This is Cindy. You guys have seen her before, and we're just going to be sitting back watching. So I can't play today, but I'm having a watching day, so they kind of know the expectations.
Oh, I like watching day.
Of what I'm doing.
They did so well with that too the last time.
They did,
They just
yeah.
really left us. They're watching.
Yeah. Yeah, that really is helpful for them, and that wouldn't be something that's, being the lead teacher in there, always being in there, but being kind of the person coming from the outside coming in might look a little weird for them.
Okay.
Then I'm thinking so I'm trying to think of how I want to kind of set this up. I think if not a lot is happening, then I want to not be in there over an hour. So like definite hour limit. But if I feel like I'm getting like a ton load of stuff, like if I have 5, I'm trying to think, can I kind of put it in a thing? I'm having a hard time. If I feel like I'm getting a lot of info, then I'm saying in half an hour I would be okay.
Okay.
With saying that I got it.
I can be real flexible too. However you want to work it. If I could be here all day, if you want me to.
I'm kind of thinking that kind of half hour to an hour thing, so
Okay.
not being too intrusive for them.
Right.
And those kinds of things to kind of set that time limit.
Right, and if it's not realistic to see the entire day as the one tool is, yes, you do have to watch the entire day to get all that information. But since it's practice, and we understand that this is practice, so we may not get the whole thing filled out today. But if you wanted to, I could do that too. I mean, I'm only 70 miles away from home. I'm just kidding. I can definitely stay.
Did you bring your sleeping bag?
I brought a suitcase. Yeah, so however you want to do that, I am completely
I'm
flexible.
thinking hour limit, but and that's I'm thinking of
Depending on how much.
depending upon how much information I want to I want to have enough information to work with.
Okay, and I'll be using the skill set rubric to score as we go along, as you did with me in modeling, and we'll get to watch it on the video too and score together.
Now you said you'll be scoring as we go along. Are you actually going to be doing that, or are you going to be kind of filling out one of these with me and then scoring it later when we watch the video?
I can do that. I brought copies, so I can do that. And we can talk about it too.
I think I would like you to kind of be doing it,
Okay.
just to see if we're picking up on the same kinds of things, and I like to be able to kind of compare notes. And did you notice this, especially if we see the same thing, because then it might help with the end part of the analyzing data.
And would it be helpful to compare notes, kind of whispering and talking about it throughout?
If we feel a need, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I certainly don't mind that. If there's something that you want to point out to me, to say something, and if there's something that I'm wanting to point out or ask you or something as we're going through.
Yeah, I just didn't want to
leave
interrupt.
that open door.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. If you would rather just, be very quiet and observe it and then talk about it later, or if it all has to do with your learning style, really.
And that
How
would be,
you want to do it.
that would be fine too.
Okay.
If you have something you're thinking, oh, did you notice that? Or I want to tell her about that, that's fine.
Okay, good.
Trying to think if there's anything else. Okay, so that's filling out. Yeah, and I can make quick photocopies of this. And so we'll need to do a quick review of what I'm looking for.
Okay. Yeah, you liked that last time too. Review skill set rubric.
Oh, I wasn't talking about the rubric, I was talking about the
Okay.
behaviors for Adeline.
Review the tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That'd be good for me to review too. Okay, so you don't feel like you need to redo the skill set rubric at this point? So you don't miss any steps?
Now you're saying that. I think, it'll take me like 2 minutes. Yes, I think a quick review of that would be very helpful for you, now that you said that. It'll just be a quick dun 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 dun. Oh, I have to remember to do that, dun dun, I have to remember to do that, okay.
Okay, and we know that Eck will be in the room.
And May,
And May. Okay, anybody
I
else?
believe.
Except for the children.
Possibly Leticia?
Okay. Okay. And how do you think the children will react once you practice these skills with them? Do you think it'll be the same, or they'll just leave us to our...
I think if we're letting them know what we're doing, yeah. I don't think that we'll have many.
They may come up to the camera and make faces like they did the last time.
They might, definitely.
Okay.
And as far as that goes, I won't mention the camera unless they ask.
Okay.
And if they ask, what's that for, then I'm going to say that it's there to videotape me today.
Okay.
It's watching
okay.
me. But what we did last time was, we had this here because we want to videotape Cindy. And so it's just looking at her and videotaping her to see what she's doing. Today it's just videotaping me.
If they
to
ask.
watch me and see what I'm doing. Yeah. But if they don't ask about it or anything, then yeah, out of sight, out of mind, even better.
Okay. Oh, I have a very, very important question.
I do love chocolate. Thank you for asking.
But I was going to ask if you wanted to go out to lunch when we're done. I don't have chocolate. No, this is a really important question. Do you want to focus on Adeline taking data because this is practice, or do you want to choose another child?
I know I like the Adeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
And why?
And you would put that forth because she's already someone we're looking at, and when we were kind of leaving it open and trying that out, we discovered, they're low-level kinds of things, but I think we're going to have stuff to see there, and she is very consistent in her attendance.
Okay, very good. So I think, unless there's anything else that you can think of that we need to talk about or plan, I think we're ready then to